Hello and welcome back as we look at The Scream by artist Edvard Munch. Edvard Munch is from Oslo, Norway. He was born in 1863 and died at 80 years old in 1944. He's mostly known for his paintings and some of his graphic arts. He's an expressionist painter. He's also known for symbolism. He was influenced by Vincent van Gogh and Paul Gauguin. He started off in engineering college and then moved on to art school. Norway, as you can see, the red country at the very top, the very northern part of Europe, is very cold and much further north than what we see in most of Europe. Here we have Europe, and you can see that Norway is way up at the top. The Scream itself, the painting, there are many versions of this painting, at least 2 paintings, 2 pastel drawings, and many, many prints, as you'll see in the following slides. The first version, which was a painting, was painted in 1893. The person in the painting does not have a gender, so it's neither male nor female. And the person is not screaming, they are blocking out a scream around them. So it sort of changes the perspective when you look at it and you realize that it's not the person themselves screaming, they're blocking out a scream from behind or around them. And the strong lines and colors help convey emotion. This was an early sketch from the Scream. As you can see, it's very different from the final version. This is one of the paintings that exists. And you can see we have those wavy lines at the top, those strong straight lines on the bridge. There's a strong vertical straight line on the right. And the wavy lines from the sky and the water are also reflected in the body of the person screaming. So we see that sort of S curve in the body. This is another version of a painting. One of the pastel drawings. You can see it's not very big. Another one of a sketch. And then these are one of the prints. So this is actually done with ink. This is a lithograph. Now for our assignment, we're going to look at this project a little bit differently. So we have 2 options for this. We actually have 3 options, but they fall under 2 categories. We can go under parody or pastiche. So when we're looking at a project, what we typically do is called pastiche. So pastiche is to imitate an artist's style in order to celebrate him. So a lot of times we'll look at an artist's work and we'll replicate a project similar to their style. A parody, on the other hand, is where we imitate their style, but we exaggerate something to make it funny, for comic effect. So as you can see, we have the picture on the left where we have the emojis. And on the right, we have the more traditional student example. The one with the emojis is our parody, and the original on the right is our pastiche. Parody being the funny version, pastiche being a copy of the original. As you can see, the emoji, the Scream emoji, was most likely based on this painting. Here are some examples of some parodies that I found on the internet that you can look at. As you can see, they vary from Pikachu to Legos. And even though they're not the original, you can tell that it's the painting, whether it's the background or the lines or the shape of the person, the hands up. I mean, even this one over here from The Nightmare Before Christmas, we can tell it's the same, even though the colors are totally different because of the pose of the person, this bridge, and the ceiling, or the sky that we see. Here's another friend of ours, Blue Dog, that somebody chose to do for theirs. So for your project, you have 3 options. The first one is a parody, where you would draw a version of the person who's afraid, and you would show what are they afraid of. The second version is where you're going to change that main character up front with the hands up, and they're going to be changed with the rest of the painting similar to the one that we looked at earlier. And the third one is going to be pastiche, where it's going to be pretty similar to what we have seen from Edvard Munch, and it's going to honor the original. So here's a couple of examples. Parody. What are you afraid of? You can see the first one, they're afraid of spiders. The second one is a Harry Potter who's afraid of Dementors. The third one is a person who is afraid of snakes. On this one, we have somebody who's afraid of pumpkins and witches, somebody who's afraid of clowns, and somebody who's afraid of aliens. Now, the second kind of parody is the kind where we change that main character. These ones all have the normal main figure in the front, but the other ones have different figures in the front, but the same structure of the painting in the background. So we have SpongeBob and Mike and the angry guy. We have that same emoji, another Harry Potter version, and one that's sort of an anime character. And the last version is pastiche, where you're celebrating the original and keeping it as close to the original as possible, doing your very best to honor that original painting and artwork. So next, between now and Wednesday, I want you to think about which option you're going to choose. Are you going to choose the first one where your main figure up front is the normal Scream figure, and then in the back you're showing what are you afraid of? Your second choice is a parody of changing that main character up front but keeping the background structure the same as the main painting. Or your third choice, which is pastiche, which is to celebrate the original and keep it as close to that original as possible. All right, think about your choices and we will come back on Wednesday and start working on our piece.